Actually, I've never done it once, and the car was like a one owner car that like a 48 year old
Watched
woman
it.
just drove around the street. So yeah, I mean I'm 40,
That's
right?
right.
But no, I don't think it's ever been done in my car.
Yeah,
I've
guys,
done it like
everyone, make a note. Adjust your house this winter. Like that should be something you should be doing. Like, I mean, at least, I mean, maybe not checking them every. I don't know. Like I said, I adjust mine regardless every season. Green flag. Green flag.
Welcome to the Blind Apex Podcast, where amateur club racers tune in to get faster.
This episode is brought to you by Deechworks Fuel Systems. Use Apex 10 at checkout to save 10% on fueling your passion. The EP3, the RSX, it kind of left a bad taste in a lot of folks' mouth, right? McPherson Hondas in the early 2000s, they were the devil. Maybe they still are, but joining me, it's less than a handful this time. We're re-recording. Yes, and yeah, I just had the great chef Brian Mang join late, as he warned me. A handful of 8th gen drivers, one token 9th gen driver, that would be Brian Mang.
woo.
From Honda Challenge to Grid Life, humbly fast and admittedly slow. This crew is, we're feeling our way out with this new chassis. Pete, Kevin, and Mang, welcome to the podcast, guys.
Yeah,
Con.
boys.
We're
Happy to be
saying
here.
new, but these cars are hitting like 20 years old now.
Yeah, so okay. I want to get into that. Okay, just to warn everybody, this conversation is going to probably be the same but a little different. We have about half as many people, which isn't that bad. And then, yeah, we've recorded once, so I've heard all this stuff before, so I may I don't know. It never works out the best the second time, but we're going to try to make the best of it, right? So these cars are getting almost 20 years old, right? Pete, what year is your car?
1008.
I'm in a 07. Kevin, what year is your car?
Mine's an '09. I got a facelift, baby.
Oh yeah, okay. You and Ash got the facelift stuff, and Mang, obviously he's running around with the newest car. What year is yours?
13, baby.
Yeah. So those years encompass, well, Brian Mang in the 13 has a 9th gen Civic, but Kevin, myself, and Pete, we have 8th gen Civics. And I believe they're going to slowly, actually not so slowly right now, start replacing the golden era Hondas that most people love. I love, right? I had an EM1, I had a DC2, I love them, but these cars are fun. They really are fun. Meng's probably not having as much fun as the rest of us, but and I give Meng a lot of crap. If people don't know, I've known Meng for over 20 years now. So
longer than anyone else, I think. Right?
So yeah, you'll hear me give him jabs, and he should probably throw some back at me. But
yeah, love you, buddy.
Yeah, we love you too. So let's start off with the old questions with a little twist. So, Kevin, why did you get into your 8th gen, and have you ever driven or owned any of the golden era Hondas?
I really got into my 8th gen because like 9 years ago, I was just looking for a reasonable, efficient, and fun car to get me to college. And then as I actually crashed my first one being not good at driving, and I was like, I should really get good at this driving thing. I started autocrossing, I started time trials, and then eventually got the wheel-to-wheel, and the 8th gen just was a car that was just easy to make reasonably competitive for everything I wanted to do. So I just kept with it. I haven't owned any golden cars, but I've driven a few, mainly STS cars. And for sure, it's definitely it's a very different experience. The wheelbase is way shorter, and the lack of caster, but then the dynamic camber of the Golden Air suspension drives very differently.
Yeah, absolutely. Pete, you're not really, this is like your first adventure in Hondas, right?
That's right. This is the first Honda I've ever owned, and really the first one I've driven for any length of time. But I got into the Honda game because I came to wheel, after doing all the HPDE stuff and instructing and time trialing. I jumped into a lemons, race with a couple of buddies, and we ran an 88 Integra until I think the wheels literally came off. But it was a blast. It was actually super durable, and I was like, all right, I gotta do more wheel to wheel racing. And I had talked to a couple of the groups in the NASA paddock, and you guys at NASA Mid Atlantic, and I talked to some of the Northeast guys, over the series of events, and I knew I wanted to do a Honda Challenge when I did wheel to wheel. So I just started kind of looking at the rule book and trying to figure out. I'm not super mechanically inclined, as I know some of you know. So I was like, well, what can I just build in the garage? Bolt-ons are really the extent of my capabilities. So picked up an 8th gen because it looked like I could, slap some bolt-ons on it, had 200 horsepower and an LSD, and send it and see how it goes.
Sure. This is a loaded question for Mang, Chef Mang. Let's talk about the Hondas you've owned, and then how did you end up in your 9th gen?
How long is this podcast?
As long as you want.
Yeah. So the first car I ever bought myself back at JMU, back in the infancy of Madison Motorsports, I had a 94 DC2. I've always loved Hondas, loved Integras. My brother had 95 Accord, which I would drive, when he would let me. Then when I got my DC2, it was a Integra LS, but I was a stupid 19-year-old then or something. So the B18B, but that was the first car I ever drove on track. Back when was volunteering, I had 4 people in my car for a lap around Jefferson Circuit, and I was like, this fucking rules, this
Parade
is
lap.
Parade lap. Yeah. Not even at speed. It was just holy crap, I'm on a racetrack. As a 19-year-old, I was like, this is freaking amazing. Did the whole sort of volunteering, working corner stations, working tech, working timing and scoring. I think I did pretty much every job back then. NASA's a lot bigger now, and I built up a number of credits and started doing, HPD 1, HPD 2 in my 94 Integra back when all tires sucked except for Hoosiers. Yeah. And so it was a blast. It was awesome. And I having that golden era Honda, I feel like I was spoiled because the car, as soon as I put a big rear sway bar on it, it was pretty neutral. Not that I was some expert driver back then, but it was a great car. It handled so well.
Are you insinuating you're an expert driver now?
Let's just say I'm much better than I was.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
You didn't leave that one out there to hang for you, Con. I love it.
I know.
But yeah, I freaking love that car. But at the same time, back then it was the early 2000s or so, back when Spec Miata was getting big and you could buy a NA Miata for $1,000 or something like that. I ended up buying, to back up a little bit, I bought one of the first allocations of the Subaru STI when it first came to the States. And then therefore I could track the Integra without worrying about getting to work on Monday. And then that's when I bought a NB Miata sight unseen off of eBay.
Was it when the STI motor blew, or?
No. Dude, I still contend that I sold the car, I think in like 2008, 2009 or so. All I had on it was a front lip. I was like the only person I knew with a Subaru that was like completely stock. And because of that, it was worth so much because I didn't slap a big turbo on it, didn't slap, unequal length headers and exhaust and all that shit. Like, it was just my daily to get back and forth to work. And it was 300 horsepower was more than enough to get to work. I freaking love that car, but it was starting to have little issues here and there. And at that time, I was getting serious with someone and looking at having a kid and stuff like that. So I ended up getting a Turbo Forester, which was like even a bigger mistake. But I digress. I had the Miata to track. I found another Miata that was like perfectly set up for like dirt cheap, and ended up making money on that first Miata I bought, and tracked that for I don't know how many years. And then I was like, I need more power. So the natural progression is let's shop for an S2000.
This was pre K-swap Miata life. Like,
Oh, yeah,
they
yeah,
didn't
this
exist
is
that. So
yeah. I mean, I bought my S2000 in 2010. So it was like the 2005 to 10 period where I owned two different NB Miatas that were set up great for the track. They were awesome cars. The hype is worth it for those cars. But yeah, I love the Miata. I just wanted more power. And at that time, back in 2010, it seemed like it was very popular to have a Subaru STI and a S2000. And I was one of many people that did that. And as you know, Con, like I think I instructed with that S2000 for like 10 years, life happened, life circumstances brought me to different things. And then I said, fuck it, let's go wheel to wheel. Bought that piece of shit RSX that was fully caged, like base RSX, but got a crazy deal on it. Loved that part. Made money on that sale. And then found that ninth gen by TCS, Tailored Chassis Solutions, Seamus Erskine, who built like a bunch of IMSA Pro cars. So
I almost forgot you had that RSX base model.
Not many people remember this, but I had a S14 as well. I had a 96 Nissan 240 that I tracked for about 3 months or so on Scotty B's like Accord wheels, which were also awesome.
So
yeah,
I'm going to derail you a minute. Since I know how much you enjoy your 9th gen Civic, should you have kept the RSX or okay?
No. All right. I talk a lot of shit about the 9th gen. The 9th gen is slow because I'm slow. I think once I figure out how to get it to turn, I will be much better. The car itself, I feel like struggles in a straight line a little bit, but that's not where I'm struggling right now. I like I said, I give it a lot of shit, but it's really the driver sucks, and the driver is trying to relearn how to drive a front wheel drive max strut car after driving a rear wheel drive, like two of the pretty much best handling rear wheel drive cars in the last 15 years. So, when you put a monkey in that seat for 15 years, it takes a little while to remember how to drive a front wheel drive car again. So,
For sure.
It's 100% the car. It's definitely not me though. For
They
sure.
require a very specific way to drive to make speed.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. The S2000, like I can like sneeze on it and it'll rotate. And I think I was very good at getting it to not rotate because it was also my daily driver at the time. And I'm trying to unlearn all of those habits right now. So, yeah, again, the car and not the shitty driver, of course.
Yeah, that's my favorite excuse. The driver sucks, but the car is amazing. So,
yeah, something like that.
All right. So I want to get into the setup a little bit. We know Pete said he's not the mechanically inclined one, so we're not going to start with him. And he still has his notes. Oh, look, see, Kevin was gripping and ripping, and now Bang is gripping and ripping something else. So, all right. Yeah. So Kevin, your GLTC and is it Club TR spec for your car?
I haven't ran Club Tier in a while just because I've just been running the car on Kumos the last few years because they're just a super consistent tire. But if I just threw its Falcons on it, it's fully Club Tier legal. Yeah.
Okay. So let's talk about the setup.
Yeah, both of those series allow for quite a bit more than Honda Challenge.
Yeah. So we're very limited. Pete, Mang, and I both run 17x8s. We run Toyo R's this year. We do run different sizes. Pete is infatuated with a square setup. Somehow he made it work. Apparently he's been running around with a broken rear sway bar for a while. But the first conversation we had,
at least at Summit.
It was still turning at Summit, and I'm not exactly sure how you did it. But Kevin, your setup is different. And you've put in a lot of work on tweaking things like some of the problems we have with our cars. So I wanted to get into your setup first.
Yeah, so I guess the big points are it's just got all the sphericals and bushings that you'll usually have. It's got the ASR big boy rear sway bar, which this chat owns half of that exists. And then it's got, some nice MCS shocks, and then I think the biggest difference, setup wise, is that in Grid Life we run 200 treadwear tires and much wider wheels. Because you guys are 245s with Toyos, right?
245 is our max. Yes.
Yeah.
Mang, stop running your 255s, you cheater.
I stopped running that a while ago, man.
We run 255 up front as well, but we're allowed to throw it all the way up on a 10 and a half inch wheel, which helps support a lot better and reduces the camber loss. And my car this year is pretty basic aero. It's just got an air dam under tray and a PCI wing on it. The biggest thing I found is that when you go to the bigger tires, is that you really want to just be upping the front spring to just keep the roll in check. Because for the most part of the last 2 years, even just visually, you could tell that my car had a lot of roll compared to all of the other cars that was around in GLTC. And the last year and a half or so, I've just been playing with just going stiffer, and it seems to help keep the car a lot more consistent. And
do you run a front sway bar?
Yeah, I run actually the FG2 sway bar, which is the slightly bigger than the FA5 one. I'm actually trying to find an IBOC one because I think these strut cars have a similar benefit to BMW struts, where the big sway bar, you get enough benefit from the roll resistance and camber and reducing the camber loss that it's worth the downsides, as long as you've got the diff that can still get you corner exit.
Okay. And so you're running the big rear ASR bar, well, the 0.095, because that's what they basically make.
Yeah.
And what brakes are you on?
I've got the fast brakes kit that runs, I think, a StopTech STR 43 caliper. 13-inch rotor, pretty standard 4-piston BBK that you'll find for a Honda,
Yeah, basic big brake kit for our setup.
Yeah.
Okay. And are you using 6 gears going forward?
Yes. It's currently going through a rebuild right now because I just blew up 4th gear.
Yep.
But the setup's going to be the setup's going to be a 5-3 final out of CRV from Australia or something. And then I've got a GearX 9th gen HPD 4th gear. I guess I just blew up my 9th gen 4th gear. And then a GearX .807 6th gear.
Okay.
That basically ends up to where your 6th gear is where the stock 5th gear was RPM wise, and all the ratios in between are tighter. So you get to use 3rd through 6th on most tracks instead of 3rd through 5th.
Okay, that's fair. I had one more question. You're on a K24, right?
I'm on a K24, yeah.
Okay. So, and you're uncorked. So how much power-ish are you making?
Right now, that car is making 218 with, basic, 3.5-inch intake, 3-inch exhaust, come to header. I think really the tune is just like a street tune done by me in a Panera Bread parking lot, and I need to play with it some more and put in some RDX injectors I have laying around. Because I'm sure I'll pick up a few more, because right now, it's literally the injectors are just like basically maxed at Redline.
Yeah, I also run a K24, the good K24, unlike the 9th gen K24, Brian.
Got the RBB3 from the Odyssey, the great minivan K24.
Right, from the motherland. Yeah, and we accidentally put down horsepower with it, so you should definitely get on a dyno and get tuned. These things love to make power. So
yeah, on the Grid Life dyno, I only picked up like 13 horsepower over the K20 I had in it, which is there's more to be had for sure.
How much more torque did you pick up is the real question. So
it was I think it was over 30.
Yeah, for sure.
So don't you guys miss that 9,000 red line though?
I'm at that point.
Screaming up 9K, and
I let those pistons run up to 84, and just it's here for a good time, not a long time.
That's right. As long as there's still $850 at the JDM importer, like my red line's at 85, so you there's a little more left, Kevin. I promise.
Yeah, screw you guys. My fuel cut's at 75, man.
I was gonna say, you guys, that's higher than I thought those K24 spun.
Yeah, normally it's 72. I just bumped it up with the Honda, but yeah, I'm still running out of breath at 75, man.
Most people tell you like on an endurance car you don't want to go over like 78, but if you're running sprint races and you don't care about changing out the motor every few years, then you can go up to high.
yeah.
I like your mentality with that. That's
gentlemen, the great Ashley Bektar has joined the chat. Look out.
How many years and you still can't get my name right?
No, I'll never get that right.
Not even that brown.
You're pretty brown. You're pretty brown.
I guess so.
Name's not that brown though.
Okay. So
we're gonna record this time or what?
I mean, we're recording right now, homeboy. Welcome to the middle of the chat.
When was this supposed to start?
8. So you're only a half hour. You're only a half hour late. This is how we roll. This is how Honda Challenge rolls. What was it at? Pete, weren't you guys late to grid, or weren't the guys late to grid at New Jersey? I mean, come on.
Not me, but yeah, there were some mistakes made.
So since Ash just jumped in, let's make him start talking right away.
Oh, we want to talk about we can talk about two things: how slow I am on track, or how much I dislike 8th gens. Where do you want?
No. We want to know what your setup is on the car, because you're the one that makes up all the new rules for Honda Challenge in the 8th gen.
So suspension wise, I run Moton 2 ways that I do not know how to adjust. So I just kind of do whatever feels good. And I think I run like a 1,200 pound spring up front and like 2,600 pound spring in the rear, which is like I think that's like a 36K last time I did the math. So it's pretty.
That's all the K.
Yeah, it's all the Ks. I don't know. I got my setup from a guy that raced in SCCA, and he had good luck with having a real stiff spring in the back.
He was also on a Hoosier.
He was on a Hoosier.
Yeah.
But I did do some quote unquote testing as best as I can. And I went way soft in the back, like what you recommended. And the car wouldn't rotate. At least my car wouldn't rotate worth shit. It felt like crap. So I went back and put my stiffer springs back in the back and then up my spring rate in the front. And it seemed to help. I've tried all the sway bars in the front, the EX bar, the stock bar with various setups, and I've just found that running no front sway bar up front and running more caster and less camber has done wonders for my tire wear. But I don't know. I really don't have, other than having tested the bars and tested the caster. I've tested both of those back to back, and I find that I do like having that additional caster. That's why my car looks kind of goofy, because the front wheel is pushed like an inch and a half forward.
Yeah, it's almost into the front bumper. It's so close. It's ridiculous.
Oh, it's self clearance itself, so it's good. It's solid.
Okay, so what aero devices are you running on your car?
Right now, it's just the PCI rear wing. I can't remember his name, but he didn't have rear mount, so we helped design those, and I've been super happy with it. I think the quality of it's great. I know there's some guys that run the other wang with good success. I don't know. I think
I mean, Mario Occam's Racers had both the 9 lives and the PCI wing and the wind tunnel. The performance is interchangeable.
Yeah. I saw the digital aero calculations between the two, and there wasn't really anything that stood out between the two. I've worked with PCI in the past, so I kind of just stuck with them because I had their parts and liked the way it looked, frankly.
Yeah.
I mean, who doesn't like a swan neck?
Am I the only one swan? Because I think that might be the wrong move, because it places the wing further down.
Mine's a
out of
swan,
the airstream.
and I think
I got a swan neck too.
Sam's a swan too.
I got the swan because it looked cool.
I mean, that's literally the
It's
only
supposed
reason
to
I
work
got it.
better.
It is.
But the limitation is because it's designed so the trunk can still open. It places the wing lower and out of the flow of air.
I don't know. We'd have to measure, a PCI non-swan versus PCI swan. But from my understanding, at least for PCI's wings, is the blade sits almost in the exact same position.
Oh, does it? Okay.
Height-wise. Now, I can't speak for the 9 lives, but, visually, I've seen, there's another guy that runs a PCI wing, and I've seen his, and they look roughly about the same. I mean, it's not like one is like, way high.
I think because I run my wing after I put the gurney flap on, I run the wing basically zeroed out, and only a little bit of angle attack. Anyways, if you've got like some aggressive aero with like tunnels going on, then maybe it starts to matter. But even with it mounted lower and out of the airstream, it still makes enough downforce.
Yeah, and I think in our application, I think it's negligible.
Or simple aero going slow.
How many gears are you using going forward, Ash?
I use all my gears. I mean, I launch in first. I do run the DC5 4th, 5th, and 6th, but I mean, I am in all my gears at some point in a race. I mean, obviously, do I go down to 3rd? Yeah, I mean, third through 6th is like my full spread. I mean, at VIR, I'm getting up to like 7,500 RPM in 6th gear. I'm sure I could raise that up a little bit by learning how to drive and coming out of Oak Tree a bit better. But I think comparative to your car, I mean, I'm probably up 1 gear everywhere on track than you are. But you run your funky gears.
Yeah, I've got funky gears for sure.
Now I've been really happy with my transmission setup. My buddy Dan, who's a Honda Master Tech, helped me build it 4 years ago now, and we put a 533 final and a Geiken and those gears in it. And I mean, that thing never skips a beat. I can't really rotate my leg to heel toe. So, I mean, Exetti stage 1 and a comp flywheel, and I just hit it like it's a freaking bolt in a rifle. And it's never given me any problems.
Shout out Dan, by the way.
That's one advantage of front-wheel drive. You don't actually need to learn how to heel toe.
Just have a good clutch and just bang it in the gear. I
So-
do. I have that 10th or I have that FK8 shifter and shifter cables in my car, and that is money. I will say that is awesome.
Maybe for the dollar, but the acuity thing, I have acuity one way and it's money. So
I've driven a lot of cars with the acuity shifters in it, and they feel great, but I personally think they're a little too short on track, but that's all subjective.
I actually want mine to be shorter so I can make the rod longer so it can be close to the steering wheel. Because right now, if I extend it, I feel like the throw's too long.
That's the good thing with the FK8 one is because the box is like a foot tall, it actually sits up pretty high. I mean, when my shifter's in third gear, it's pretty much in the center of where like the double din dash would be.
Yeah, because really, we're all just trying to be the EP3, the greatest. Yeah, the greatest.
Of government.
I've been looking for like Honda elements in manual transmission. It has that like EP3 kind of gear shifter as well. It's like right there. It's so intuitive. It's so natural.
I don't think that's going to make a good Honda Challenge car, man. Sorry.
Half the battle is looking good, and the EP3 is the best looking Civic.
I mean,
hot take.
Oh no,
that's a
I don't know. You're allowed to put FD2 bodywork on in Honda Challenge.
We can do that. Four-door guys can.
Where's Politi? Asked Politi to join the chat.
No, I'm not calling people in. Okay. we had a couple of late comers. One, the greatest dad in Honda Challenge, Sam.
Hey,
he probably had to put the kid. Hey, he was late to put his kids to bed, I'm sure, or he forgot. Either one.
A little bit of both.
Me and Pete are barely above average dads, so you know.
I bring my kids to the track.
That's true. That is true.
I feel like that's got to, earn some points.
Yeah, that is worth a lot.
So, Sam, let's talk about your car and what setup's on it. And Ash, you're still on a K20, right?
Yep, K20.
Okay.
Stock Z3 with 190,000 miles on it.
Just let her spin. It's okay. 9,000 all day.
10,000, whatever she wants, she takes it.
All right. Sam, let's talk about your car and the setup right now.
It's been like 2 years since I K24 swapped my car, and I still get texts from friends admitting that they money shifted my car up to K20 in it.
You hate to hear that.
Hey, it was fine.
I hate to hear that.
I just keep on finding out it's held up to even more shit.
Yeah, the K20 takes an absolute beating, and it's fine.
Oh yeah. So I feel like I'm running like a pretty simplistic setup compared to a lot of the guys as far as modifications to the engine, in the sense of I'm running a factory diff, factory gears with a 5.06 FD2 Type R final, Fortune Auto 510 coilovers with an ASR rear bar, and skunk 2-header, custom exhaust, no oil baffle. Everything else is pretty much stock. I mean, I'm running a K2 and 3.5-inch intake, but short of that, I feel like the car is, I don't know, just.
I think you also have a 2.5-inch custom. It's not a 3 like most of us.
Yeah. So originally I was running the Buddy Club catback, and when I put the ASR bar on with the muffler section, it wasn't clear in the bar. So Mitch from Piper put like basically the whole rear section, just cut and straight piped it. But yeah, it's a 2.5-inch header back, and running the standard Inky RPF1 wheels, Stop Tech, big brake kit up front. I forget which one it is. You guys probably know. It's not this. Is it the C43, C40?
So it's the ST43.
ST43 up front. So yeah, I feel like it's a pretty mild setup. I'm running stock oil pan, no baffle, and the car's got almost 30,000 miles on it. I haven't cracked open the engine, minus pulling the valve cover off and doing the valve lash adjustment and stuff like that. So feel like I don't know, lucky with how the engine's performed over the last 10 plus years I've owned it.
Sam, you're
Sam,
proof that we're all idiots and spent way too much money on our car when we should have just
Right.
like everything that I've done to my car is completely unnecessary.
Sam, how much do you overfill your oil?
What'd you say?
How much do you overfill your oil?
Honestly, just like ever so slightly over the full mark. So maybe a quarter of a quart, and I just obviously check it every session I come in. I check it. I'm keeping an eye on my oil pressures while I'm out on track, but I've never had issues with it falling out of VTEC, like on real long sweeping turns on any of the tracks. So I try to pay attention to that. But yeah, I try to overfill it a little bit, but not by much. Car fortunately doesn't consume any oil still to this day. So I say all of this and it'll probably pop next time I'm on track.
Knock on something real quick. Yeah. So the guy that built my car, it still has stock oil pan, stock oil pump, all of that stuff. He was telling me just overfill it by a quart and a half. I'm like,
quart and a half.
Oh, that seems like a lot.
That's a lot.
He's like, yeah, just run it with a quart and a half. I'm like, okay. And I mean, luckily nothing's happened, but I feel like that's a lot. I feel like that's way too much.
When I took out my factory pump, which has the balance shafts in there, I found that just to get up to the normal dot, I had to put almost an extra quart in it. And then I run mine about another inch up the stick, which is of roughly about a quart and a half. So, I mean, that doesn't sound too far off. I mean, if you don't have your balance shafts in there and you're overfilling it, I mean, a quart and a half might not be too far off the mark.
Yeah, because I looked it up there because I just changed the oil pan in my car and it has K24 and no balance shafts and the Unit 2 baffle. And I put in 6 quarts and it didn't even get halfway up the dipstick.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right.
So, wait, Kevin, are you on the aluminum or the steel pan from
I'm
Unit
on
2?
just the OEM 8th gen pan with the Unit 2 drop-in baffle, yeah. And that was basically 7 quarts to get the full.
The 8th gen, the K20, I shouldn't even say the 8th gen, but the K20Z3 has the deepest pan out of all K-Series engines to my knowledge. So I don't know I'm not running the Type S oil pump or the S2000 oil pump, so I don't know what that does as far as the pickup location. So, I mean, I definitely try to overfill it, but I don't get too crazy with it, and fortunately, I haven't had issues. I run it based on my gearing. A lot of times I find myself at like 8,600 RPMs pretty regularly. And so I would think between that cavitation and, a lot of people online gripe about the cavitation, popping your motor and stuff. I mean, I've run it at enough times at 8,600. I can't say it's not cavitating at that point, but I haven't had, obviously, engine failure. Some people swear by that. So on specifically the 8th gen. So
I'm knocking on wood for you.
Dude, I had mine set to 8,600 for 100,000 miles. It's fine. Literally.
Yeah.
All right, Pete, let's talk about your car with the broken rear sway bar. What rear sway bar is on it?
So the Progress Tech sway bar in the rear. Mine's a pretty basic setup too. I mean, like I said earlier, it's all bolt-ons. I did do the oil pump, so the Type S oil pump is swapped. I think my final drive is like a 5.1, but like stock gear set. Finally upgrading to some real suspension now in the process of doing that. I was just running kind of cheap street coilovers up until this point, but yeah, pretty straightforward build.
Yeah, yours is basic, Sam's is basic, mine is not, and neither's Ash's. And then Kevin's is on a different level. He's bolt-ons, but and much bigger and better, it feels like. But
everything you can bolt on, I found, except for the front bar.
So, Mang Daddy, how awesome is your former Pirelli World Challenge 9th Gen Civic? And how's it set up?
Hey, he's got the fancy HPD ABS calibration.
Yeah, something like that. But the thing is, like, I don't know, so I don't want to touch it. Right?
Does your
Like,
VSA work?
I'm sorry?
Does your VSA work?
Yes. No. The little light is on. The little
Then
light.
you have the HPD calibration.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I know
Oh,
that
that
I
explains
do.
a lot.
I know that I
All the World
do.
Challenge cars should have it. Yeah.
They've told me, like, that it's separate from my ECU tuning and stuff. So when I have
Yeah,
uploaded,
it's in the module itself. Yeah.
yeah,
I've tried to buy the one for the 8th gen, but they don't have them anymore.
Well,
There's 2 in Canada.
I have emailed it's been years, but I've emailed the guy that supported my car back in the day. I'm sure someone has it. It's not something that you would probably find online, but you'd have to, like, find the guy that has it at HPD or, whatever it is now. HRC?
It's HRC.
Right?
Yeah. The emails change. I just recently bought some stuff and all changed from HPD to HRC.
Yeah. So I'm sure there's some legacy stuff just hanging out, like, in someone's, bin or in the warehouse there or whatever. As far as the setup goes, I mean, there isn't a whole lot we can do just because of the Honda Challenge rules back in the day, right? Like, I know they loosened it up this past year. Unfortunately, I haven't raced this year, but yeah, just trying to max out camber, full bolt-ons. I actually am not even at the horsepower cap. I've had the car tuned twice, and I'm at 194 horsepower, and my cap is 205. So, like, that's definitely killing me. But I haven't taken advantage of the rules this year where I can get the RBC manifold. I can take advantage of being 50 pounds lighter. So it's hard to say right now just because I've taken that year off. But I'm looking forward to just trying that out where, I'll pick up an RBC manifold. I'll pick up the RDX injectors, get a tune with all that. That should get me to the cap and hopefully be more competitive, at least be better in a straight line, because that's been killing me.
Yeah, I need some more power too. I was 192 at the dyno at Hyperfest when Brent, like, missed his transponder or something, and I was able to put it on pole. I think Baker was broken. Brett was
Pete, you know where the dyno is.
transponderless. Well, I know, but that's why I switched intake. So I had an engine intake on there, and when it pulled like 192, I was like, oh, those are rookie numbers. I gotta pump those. I gotta pump those up. And I threw the
Brian Mang
hybrid
numbers.
racing intake on there and figured, maybe it'd get me an extra few ponies. But I know Sam mentioned the valve adjustment, and I just wrote that down because I think last time we were, like, talking around at the paddock, Brendan was talking about the valve adjustment, and just doing that made a big difference and gave him a few ponies. So I wrote that down on my notes of off-season things to try and address.
If you can find Darren.
Nope. Don't even speak his name right now.
Morgan did mine, and
Morgan.
I have a lot of faith in him, and he did mine probably. It's probably been 20 or 30,000 miles ago. I did it at like 100,000, and they weren't way out of whack. But I mean, he definitely made some adjustments on all of them. So,
Guys, I do mine every year. Every winter, I adjust my valves.
Actually, I've never done it once, and the car was like a one-owner car that, like, a 48-year-old woman just drove around the street. So yeah, I mean, I'm 40, right? So no, I don't think it's ever been done in my car.
Yeah,
I've done it like
everyone make a note, adjust your house this winter. Like that should be something you should be doing. Like, I mean, at least, I mean, maybe not checking them I don't know. Like I said, I adjust mine regardless every season. I do new trans fluid and I adjust the valves no matter how many races I race. It just seems like cheap insurance.
We live above 8,000 RPMs, no matter whether we're rocking the K24 or the K20Z3. Like,
For
the amount of
yourself.
times I zig my motor, and I just check them to be careful.
Brian, you don't count. I don't know why. Well, I tried to buy a 9th gen too because I hit that Taylor Chassis Solutions up to try to see if they had another one, but kind of glad I didn't now. But
Yeah.
All right, Ash, I put an asterisk next to the note that I just made.
Another thing I would probably recommend doing, if for anyone that's over 120, 130, I mean, pretty much everyone. I mean, at this point with the age of our cars is probably replace your chain tensioner, maybe not replace the chains. I mean, personally, I changed my chains and my guides at like 178, but I had the motor out, so it was a lot easier to do. But cheap insurance is, the VTC actuator on the cams, and which, the cam gears, and then the chain tensioner. I mean, for, $200 worth of parts, it kind of makes sense.
If you're living above 8,000 RPM, I would definitely recommend replacing the chain on those higher mileage motors because it's been seen in like the BMW community as well, with the M54s and stuff. Just like stretched out but still in spec chains, they'll just with extend high RPM operation, just at higher risk of like dropping a valve or jumping timing.
Yeah.
The S2000 is the same way. Like, I'm sure my chain is stretched from tracking it 10 years. I'm not on the original tensioner, but I'm on the original design tensioner, and there's like a lot of different upgrades for the tensioner. But yeah, I definitely need a lot of head work on the S2000, but not the subject of our conversation here.
Yeah, I mean, unless you're planning on going K24 or something in the next season or two, I mean, it's kind of cheap insurance. I mean, these Z3s aren't.
I love my K20,
but popping a motor.
We'll see what happens with cons. Yeah, we'll see what happens with cons. Car in progress this upcoming season. But for now, I'm good with my K20.
Hey, look, I don't want the rules committee to start putting the smack down. Remember, I was slow at Summit Point. I didn't catch anybody. I didn't pass anybody. Okay. So I started from the back and I finished in the back, right? That's what happened. It's my story.
I don't know. I seem to remember a shaped vehicle that was getting closer to my rear view mirror towards the end of that race. And I remember, trying to look at a Garmin to try and figure out like how many laps do we have left? Like, I hope it's not too many more.
Pete, what is a con-shaped vehicle? Is that a Suburban?
Short and fat.
I didn't know they were racing Honda Elements on track.
So
all I know is that Con and Pete have the same like color car, and then Ash, you wrapped your car. Not that I mistake your car, but when you're the mirrors for like a split second, and you have that like beige-ish, the dark beige.
Man, it's gold. It's not beige. It's gold.
All I know is that all you fucking 8th gens that are like kind of that dark brownish color, like, wait, which one is that? Like, god damn it.
Well, if it's dark brown, it's probably
there aren't many cars behind me though. That's the problem. So
I gotta only looking at my car.
All right. Since Ash jumped on here talking about how much he hates his 8th gen, his next question is, what do you actually like about your 8th gen?
I mean, the car is absolutely fantastic. I mean, between the motor and the trans, there's really no complaints. I mean, for anyone that's trying to get into racing a Honda nowadays, or even just doing HPDE, the 8th gen is the easy button. I mean, you can go get an 8th gen with higher mileage for $3,000 to $5,000. I paid $4,000 for mine, but I mean, factory K series, factory 6-speed, factory LSD, a decent McPherson strut setup car with a good suspension in the back, a decent suspension in the back. They're really probably the greatest bang for your buck performance car that you can get. I mean, you can argue that the first gen TSX is great with the double wishbone, but I mean, it's a bigger car. It's a sedan. You know, some people just don't want that. Personally, I just think they're fucking ugly, and the long windshield and A pillars are kind of hard to see out of, depending on your seating position. But I mean, overall, I have no qualms with my car. I think if I knew I was going to be this slow, I might have just built a car that I actually liked looking at versus, anything else. But that's hindsight. But no, the cars are great. I mean, like you said, they're for anyone. You can buy these cars and do exactly what I did: is go from never having done a track day and having your dad daily drive the car to turning it into a race car.
For sure. So, Kevin, same question. What do you like about your car?
Yeah, as Ash said, the biggest thing is that it's just a really like robust and like easy button car that's durable with pretty basic. Yeah, you don't need an oil cooler. You don't need to do much in the ways of reliability upgrades. You just throw some suspension on the car and go rip. And it's just like a really fun to drive car, the long wheelbase and like, the power steering just makes it nice and easy to just hang it out and just like sit the car and yaw.
Yeah, the power steering is pretty key. I think we forget about that until we hear the B series guys complaining about turning their cars in the paddock.
Yeah, we have a quick rack and easy steering.
Right. All right, Pete, what do you like about your Civic?
Yeah, I mean, other than like for me, it's easy to work on, right?
Mhm.
So like there's a ton of support, there's a ton of info online, forums and stuff. It's all bolt-on stuff that's right there and pretty straightforward. So easy to work on. Honestly, like one of the biggest pains in the ass about doing any work on the car is when you got to change the oil. Just getting them the freaking filter. But that's one thing. I think honestly, the other thing for track day stuff is like it's super approachable. Like it's very fun to drive, but it's also fun and easier to drive on the limit, wringing its neck and just throwing it around the track than some other cars that I've driven on track are. So for me, especially like if you want to do wheel to wheel and you want to be predictable and you want to kind of know what it's going to do when you're right next to somebody, that part of it I think is nice.
Sam, what do you like about your car that you never drive these days?
I was going to say exactly what Pete said, which is pretty easy car to work on. It's pretty forgiving, and I don't have a lot of experience in other cars on the track, so I don't have anything to compare it against. But I would say with my driving skill set and little experience, I'd say it's a really easy, forgiving car to drive as well. It's fun on the track. I feel like when it gets upset, it's manageable for sure. And I don't know. I've had my car as a daily driver I had my car for a daily driver for years, so it's got a lot of sentimental value to me. So unfortunately, although like Ash was saying, they're not super expensive to buy. You can pick up anywhere. Every time I'm out on track, there's like some level of attachment to that vehicle where it doesn't want me to. I don't want to make contact with other people's sheet metal, and it's always in the back of my head when I'm on track not to wrap that thing up. So, but I definitely. I think, and my car is not set up how it should be, so I'm sure maybe if I had it rotating a little bit more, I'd feel differently. But I think they're one of the easier cars to drive.
Yeah. The other problem is you drive a pretty red one in a sedan, which looks better. Ash and I drive ugly coupes, so that's what happens. It's
And
tough life.
Ash just meant that the 2-door 8th gens are not pretty attractive cars. The four doors are a different story.
Yeah, you need a teal colored stand.
Oh, yeah, no, I agree. When I bought my car, I was like, oh yeah, it's going to be a race car. It needs to be a 2-door. And then as you grow older, you're like, 4-door race cars are way cool.
The saloon life.
I can fit like 5 tires in the car after caging it. It's great.
Yeah, and I would say maybe it's just me, and this is probably, I don't know if this will be your next question, but the one thing I must say is the for whatever reason, it seems like the two-door guys seem to have no issue with cutting weight. I feel like I've done everything I can in my car, and I want to say I'm 26, 7, 8, so probably 25, 50 empty, roughly. But I have full Lexan, and have taken out as much as I possibly can. I mean, I could cut it up more, but I've removed my door cards and everything. And I feel like the two-door guys, like Con and Ash, I feel like you guys are adding weight, or I don't know. I just feel like the four doors in that sense, I would say that's the biggest disadvantage as far as just having more weight. Maybe it's just something I'm doing. I don't know. I've tried to put as much carbon on and add as little weight as possible when modifying it. So
Yeah, I mean, I've got close to 70 pounds of ballast weight and full glass,
yeah.
full bumper beams. Yeah, I don't know. Mine's just
Damn, I didn't know you had to run ballast. You got the thing super light.
what's crazy.
I finally got mine close to weight, but it definitely is taking a lot, and I'm still not like all the way there.
I mean, I
I don't
haven't
think
gutted a ton out of my car. I mean, my wiper motor's taken out, all my heater crap and AC is out. But other than that, there's nothing really like major that I would say. Like, I'm trying to think where else I've pulled weight from. I mean, nothing. I mean, my brake kit is arguably lighter, but not like much lighter than anyone else's brake kit.
Yeah, when you're going from one aluminum caliper to the other aluminum caliper, when you're already replacing the
Exactly.
OEM stuff, the differences are not much. Like, I think the coupe is only like 40, 50 pounds lighter tops because my sedan, that's still like the most extreme thing I've done is taken the HVAC out.
Yeah.
It still has like half the dashboard and all the glass, and it's 2550.
And maybe my cage is lighter. I know I run a few less bars than Con, but like maybe 5 feet less of tubing, 6 feet less of tubing at most.
My cage is definitely lighter.
You're trying
I'm
to
on that
dive.
auto
Your
power.
cage
I'm on that auto
scares
power
me.
bolt-in life.
Don't take safety equipment advice from Pete. Okay, just don't do that.
When you came out for your first race, I said something to someone. I was like, "You're allowed to race with a bolting cage," and they're like, "Yeah," and I was like, "Good God, that man's
Yeah.
ballsy."
Yeah,
I
that's
looked at the
nuts.
rule books. I was like, all right, you're allowed to do a bolting cage. It was of the same premise of like, what can I do myself in the garage over the off season, right? Versus like gutting the car, taking it somewhere, to try and get a cage. I didn't know like anything about any of that stuff. So I was like, well, I'll just throw a bolting cage and send it. Like, if it's in the rules, it should be good.
You got life insurance, right?
Oh, you have to ask his
I'm
wife
covered.
about that one.
So when we were at NJMP at the crossover event, we were like in the middle of one of the races, and like one of the bolts shot out on right hand top side and like jumped into the cabin. It's like, what the hell is that? Well, I was mid corner or something, but
Please stop telling this.
I had to make sure they were all torqued down after that. Hopefully, no NASA officials or
Yeah.
rules people watch this. That will now eliminate bolting cages from wheel to wheel. But
I am.
Yeah.
I'm
as long as it's all
making a
torqued
life
down, it should be good.
It's all right. Khan's not a NASA guy or anything like that.
Not
right?
not anymore. I'm not the chief of tech anymore, so that's fine.
Yeah.
Brian, what do you like? And because you're the 9th gen, what do you hate about your car?
Jesus. No, we'll stick with what I like. I mean, at the end of the day, it's not super different than you 8th gen guys, right? Like, it is still pretty easy to work on. A lot of the components are similar enough. There's discrepancies where parts are different, things don't quite fit the same, but like in general, it's the same design, the same concept, and it is easy to work on. And this is coming from the guy that's like super lazy and hates to work on his car, right? Like, I
You
most
do
of
your
the
brakes at the track
I do my
on
break.
purpose.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. All my tools are there, and all my shit's there, and everyone else is there if I need help. Right? It's and it's fun to drive. I mean, like it. I'm obviously I'm not fast, but when I'm out there, I'm not like struggling with the car. I'm not sawing at the wheel or whatever. I'm just struggling to get traction, just like everyone else, right? I It's not like terrifying, but it's still fun, you know? There have been instances where it keeps you on your toes, but it's also predictable. So I have a lot of fun with it. It is a great car. It is relatively reliable. I mean, when you're wheel to wheel, things are going to happen. Parts are going to break. Things are going to wear a lot faster. But you know, I it's all relative, right? Like I remember back when I was doing HPD, and you could like drive through the paddock, and the spec me out of guys are just like sitting around chatting, looking at their watches, just kicking tires, checking tire pressures, and then you drive by like the guys with WRXs, and their hoods are up, they're all under their cars, they're swapping out whatever because their shit's broken, right? Like I think our cars are very much like the where we are waiting around. Yes, problems happen, but for the most part, any like issue that comes up with our cars, it's a relatively easy fix, or it's something that like a group of us can knock out pretty quick. And I've seen it in the paddock where a bunch of us get together. Hell, let's swap this transmission. Let's replace this head gasket or whatever. And like people do it in a matter of hours, and that's kind of crazy. But and because we have these cars with such interchangeable parts, like someone has a suitable replacement for whatever, it's worked out quite well. So I while the ninth gen isn't quite the same, it still has enough that's similar to what you guys are running, or similar to someone else that's doing like group 3 or group 4 in the paddock, where I can find parts I need or knowledge or whatever. And it's just same old sort of Honda design, right? It's like that sort of philosophy where you can you just how the car works. So like we've been at this for a number of years, right? And I've dabbled with Miata stuff. I've dabbled with BMW stuff, and it's like it's different, but we all understand the Honda shit. You know what I mean? Like I don't know how to really explain it, but I think you guys get it, right? Like it's just the way that it is.
It's just the way it is.
It's just the way it is, and it's fun. It's good times.
Brian, you have other people on the podcast when you didn't introduce them. Are you kidding me?
Don't worry.
See, look at that.
Don't
All
worry
right,
about it.
Kevin, what do you hate about our cars?
The transmission. After you put the clutch type diff in, you're really just fighting to see what's the next thing you break. Might need to hit you up about that cooler.
Yeah, that's not a problem. I have a spreadsheet with the list of parts. It's pretty easy going. So,
and then the stock AFShed hubs leave quite a lot to be desired. Mine have caused me quite a lot of grief in the process of figuring out how to put a temp gen hub in there, but I'll let everyone know when I figure that out.
Yeah, I change mine every 2 years. Both my rear hubs get changed every 2 years.
Yeah. Only by the BCA NTN OEM ones, because I had a 4-hour-old Timken one fail on me.
Yeah, the last time I changed my rear hubs out, because I'm the same way with Econ, I change them out pretty regularly. And I was kind of disappointed because somehow the last set of OEM ones I replaced them with, the casting was somehow even thinner than the original one. Not original, but the most recent ones I've replaced them with, which were OEM as well. So pretty disappointing on the rear hub section of those vehicles.
Yeah, it's just a problem spot for these cars that maybe we'll talk about later if somebody needs to make us some parts. But I know Kevin and I are always like, everybody's like, what can we make for these cars for you guys? And we're like, rear hubs, rear hubs, rear hubs. So most of the
That was another
communities
note I
are.
made from last time. I'm going to put another star by that one too.
So if nobody learned anything, any listeners, if you're not learning anything, it doesn't matter because Pete is learning about the car he races, and I appreciate it. So, all right, Ash, come on. What do you really hate about these cars other than they're ugly? It's not just because they're ugly, okay?
I mean, I joke about it all the time, but really, there's really nothing to hate about on these cars. I mean, other than just kind of like the spaceship look of them. I've kind of helped that by putting the HPF kit on mine, which, current rules makes me I can't run a splitter with it, but whatever, it looks cool. No, I mean, there's again, like I said, I've joked about like how much I hate my car, but I really don't. I mean, it's a great performing car. I'm sure if we put one of the front runners in my car, I think they'd be able to shave, 2.5 seconds off my best lap time.
You're not that
I have
slow.
turned out a couple decent laps at Summit before. I think I ran a 23.8 or something, and that was like my all-time PB there. But yeah, I mean, they're good cars. I mean, they like, everyone's, going back to what Mang said about like people always working on their car and having to do this, and that. I recall like some weekends where like I haven't even got the jack out of the trailer. Like nothing's broken on it. It doesn't cost a lot of money to fix it when it does break. And I think if you just do it right the first time, there's not really anything that's to really worry about. I mean, it's a great car for especially someone like myself or, someone that doesn't go to every weekend where you're just like, hey, let me pull the car out of the garage, throw it in the trailer and go to the track. It's, change some fluids, gap your fucking spark plugs and make sure your valves are adjusted right and fucking go.
Pete, I know you're not real technical, but what do you dislike about your ownership so far?
No, I think I just have to make another note about the spark plugs. But no, I honestly love that car. The only thing that bothers me is being like in the carousel trying to chase like one of the golden era cars, and they're just like so much faster through there, and the car won't turn enough. And if you add throttle while trying to turn more, it doesn't like that either. But everywhere else around the track, it's a blast. And I mean, you're obviously comparing it to cars that are lighter with double wishbone and all that jazz. So I love the car.
Yeah. Okay. So I love the car because I love being able to like go to OEMparts.com or my local Honda dealer and be like, this is my car. I would like to buy some parts now. And they're in stock. Hubs, even down to the little plastic push pins. Like I don't even bother buying the junky ones off Amazon because I can just overpay for them at the OEM at the dealer, right?
Rich.
I love that part. What I hate about our cars is something I want to talk about. While we all have bolt on fairly easily, we bolt on a bunch of stuff, right? Almost everybody's got a skunk two header. Everybody's got an intake. We just bolt all this stuff on, right? But there's still major holes in the aftermarket part community for our cars. One, like Kevin said, that rear hubs, right? Maybe I'm not stealing his, but I have one. I have one that I really want. But so, Meng, if there was something the aftermarket could make for your car to make your life easier, what would you want?
I don't think it's like one thing. It's like I alluded to, like I think the ninth gen is just different enough. The thing that really I was not really aware of until I had the car was like if you start looking for parts for it, like aftermarket parts for it, and you can, sort by Honda, sort by Civic Si, sort by year. There's a ton of stuff that's like 8th gen and 10th gen. And they're just like ninth gen's just not a thing on a lot of like websites. And it's that part is really irritating because there are a lot of things, a lot of 8th gen parts that it can use that like aren't recognized, right? Like the whole rear end, I think, uses similar parts. I think I can use the same control arms, same hubs, same bushings and stuff like that. But like even within the ninth gen, the 12, 13 control arms are different than the 14, 15 control arms. And so if I'm getting
I'm finding out all those things trying to do my 10th gen hub swap because it requires the 9th gen knuckle, and now I have 3 knuckles and 3 trailing arms, and none of them actually fit together.
Yeah, right. And so if you order like a coilover, you have to specifically mention, do you have a 12, 13 or a 14, 15? And I'm trying to figure out like how different these things are without ordering the different control arms and just comparing them, side by side. So
You need to go to a pick and pull.
I do. But that was the other thing. I think my car is too new to like, there were a ton of like, regular Civics, not a whole lot of ninth gen Civics in pick and pulls that I was able to find. And granted, this was like about 2 years ago or so, and I haven't really checked since then, but I was seeing plenty of like 8th gen Civics in pick and pulls, but not a lot of ninth gen stuff. And so I think the thing that I hate the most about the car is that it's close, but it's not the same. I would rather have sort of like that 10th gen support where it is new, but it's like different enough that it is like solidly 10th gen, as opposed to this sort of like some 8th gen parts fit, but some don't. And then even some 9th gen parts fit, but it depends on if you have the first, like the 12, 13 or the 14, 15. Like I'm just having to do trial and error for a lot of things like that. I think that's the most annoying thing because I'm not the kind of guy that is going to design my own parts. I'm not going to put together some like beefy solution or, as opposed to just piecemealing things where I'm ordering, 8th gen parts, hoping some 9th gen parts fit, going to AutoZone and seeing what else I can get to fit or whatever. Like I just want to order it and I want it to fit and work. And that's not always the case with this car. So that's been probably my biggest pet peeve. Well, that and how slow it is in a straight line. But that's something else. I could really use a exhaust VTEC cam, as opposed to this VTEC only on the intake.
Oh, you're allowed to swap the engine now, so just do it.
Yeah, I know, right? So
then you open up another can of worms.
Right? Yeah, what could possibly go wrong, right?
Everything that wasn't associated with the engine and transmission went wrong with my car when I did the engine and transmission. So
one sensor ruined your entire freaking
season, the whole season. Anyway, Sam, what could the aftermarket community start making for our cars?
I'd like to see the front with us having McPherson's pretty straightforward, and to my knowledge, you can still get the spherical fronts. At least Hard Race was making them PCI. Fortunately, I was able to get in some replacement parts in case my tolerances get too sloppy up front. But I'd like to see the rear compliance. I'm not sure why Hard Race made the every spherical except for the biggest, softest bushing on the rear of our vehicles. But I'd like to see the rear compliance in a spherical. And I may sound stupid saying this, but I don't think they make a rear camber arm that's spherical both inward that attaches to the chassis and to the hub
They do.
or knuckle, which I'm very
They do.
confused about as well. So you're
Who
talking about,
does?
yeah, huh?
Who
They
makes
make
it?
them. I've got.
No,
I've
I'm
got
saying
one.
I wish, or wait, Ash, you're saying someone does make it?
Yeah, my
I've got
Godspeed.
sphерicals on both ends.
Godspeed does?
Godspeed, and then I had Godspeeds originally, and then I found a different brand which I'll look up for you
Okay.
that I feel is just overall beefier. It's
Okay.
stronger, it's thicker metal. It feels better than the Godspeed one because I did have Godspeed to begin with.
Pete
Yeah.
scribbling notes.
When my car was still a daily, I bought the buddy clubs at the time, and the one side's spherical, one side's rubber, and I just never really understood why they would have made it like that. So, but I would say the biggest gripe I have about our cars is the fact that I think personally the double wishbone suspension setup allows for more tunability, predictability, and I think would be pretty sweet platform for our vehicles. But because it's a McPherson, I would say having rear sphericals would be huge for the rear. And that really for me personally is just the biggest thing that I've seen. They're getting to be old enough now. They still make a lot of parts for the vehicle, but they're definitely starting to, I feel like now that you have 10th and 11th gen Civics starting to fade out a little bit. So
Yeah, the support is lacking, and
Yeah.
they never really did a full. I don't think anybody has a full on spherical kit for our cars where we could replace any of them, but maybe I'm wrong.
You can get everything except for that big trailing arm bushing. I talked to Brian at PCI about it, and he was having trouble getting it apart because it's a huge pain in the ass. And then he bought a GR86 and then got sidetracked. So I'm not sure if those are ever happening.
Probably not.
I just feel like the 8th gen, though, with Pete and Kevin and Ash now, and obviously other guys not running NASA, you're seeing more and more of them, kind of like you did the older gen. But I never felt like they were huge in the racing community when we were all first getting out there doing HPDs and then getting into racing. I just didn't feel like they had quite the presence as the EM1s and the Integras and that stuff. So
No, there's been very little new performance parts developed for these cars,
Yeah.
for sure.
I mean, I feel like that's for like Honda in general. I mean, the 10th gen had come out, but I mean, the 10th gen is, 10 years old at this point. The 11th gen SI, which is, I guess, the current gen, really has no backing. I think I've seen a handful of them on the street, but I just don't think enthusiasts are really going after the Civic SIs anymore. I think there's just a lot of other platforms from different manufacturers that you can get a lot more bang for your buck. I mean, a Hyundai Elantra N is a crazy amount of car for the money. And I don't know, my hot take is I just don't think Honda's keeping up with that 25K to 30K price range of a car from a performance standpoint. Where
No, I mean now, like if you don't need like the space of a four-door, you can go just buy a 8.6 that's less money and makes more horsepower and it's rear-wheel drive. You know.
And I think also like the people that are buying 25 to 30K Hondas, 16 to 18 or 18 to 20-year-old kids, like they're not really into Hondas anymore. I mean, like, I don't know if I was 16 years old, if I'd be like, yeah, I want a Civic Si. Again, like you said, I mean, 16 and 17-year-olds, I mean, they're looking at, the 8.6s, they're looking at, used BMWs that are twin turbo that you can get for $5 to $8 grand. they're just, we kind of grew up in that era where Civics were cool. And then when we could afford to get a new Civic, the RSX, the 8 Gen, all those were like, hell yeah, that's what I want. And now I don't think the market is there for it. And thus that trickles down to the aftermarket, just being like, we're not really going to support these cars that no one is buying in the first place.
Yeah.
I think that kind of goes towards the whole, like, I don't know if this is sort of like the old man in me, but it's something that you see with a lot of car companies now, right? Like the 90s era Honda, where they would support, like, you would get that enthusiast support because the Integras were super fun. There's the Type R, they had the NSX back in the 90s and then built the S2000. Like, there were actual flagship cars that were fun and cool. And now it's like, yeah, the Civic Type R is like cool, but there's so much more that you can get from other companies. And Toyota seems to be supporting their like GR racing line now, right? Not
So
that
you blow it up, but yeah.
You blow it up, right? Like, not that long ago, Ford was supporting like the ST and the RS series. Nissan was supporting Nismo, and like Honda was just like, all right, fuck you, HPD guys,
Yeah.
It and I feel like it's cyclic, right? And those other companies will go away. The GRs, the 86s and stuff, they're great cars, but they won't be great forever. And then, maybe Honda does come back and they build like, a non-hybrid electric Prelude, or build some actual S2000 that people want to buy again. Like, it's all about stoking that sort of excitement for the brand, right? Like, you don't have to sell 1 million of them like a Civic or an Accord, but if you build that sort of that loyalty, that excitement where you want to buy a Honda, you want to buy a GR, you want to buy a Supra or whatever, like, that's kind of where it starts for us, schlubs that aren't buying like a, Lamborghini or a Ferrari or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, it's something you want to be excited about. Like, yeah, if you just want to get point A to point B, then sure, go buy your Toyota Corolla or your Ford Focus or something like that. But if you want to be excited about it, like, that's how you kind of get that brand loyalty, I guess. And Honda just, I feel like, hasn't had that for a while.
Yeah.
But even Toyota built the GR Corolla. They even built an ST Focus, right? Like, or Fiesta. So even their budget commuter brands, if you want to spice it up, there's a spicy brand, So.
Yeah.
And
back in the day, there was the Type R Accord. There were, the Type S, the new Integra Type S or whatever. Like, people weren't excited about that. I feel like it was sort of a half-assed attempt. But, this is just my observation, and I don't have like insight on as to how, all of that, all how that sausage is made inside those car companies.
I mean, you're also not seeing Honda really get into kind of like the mid-level motorsports anymore. Like, if you look at like some of the IMSA cars and, some of the maybe less than IMSA cars, I don't know all the series, but I mean, you see the Toyotas out there, whether it be the Corollas, the Supras, you see the Hyundais out there, and you're like, at least for me as a kid, it's like, wow, the car that I see on the racetrack is a car that I can actually go buy. Mm-hmm. And like Honda used to be really cool about that, with the Integras and, even going all the way up to like, the second gen TSX, you're like, hey, like my dad has one of those. And now I see it on the racetrack. Like, that was a cool feeling where like Honda, you're just not really getting that outside of, like the Type R. And,
even now with like the FL5 TCR, you're only seeing that being raced in Europe. There's not I don't think there's any teams running it in the US series, right?
No.
Yeah,
And-
and they dropped the NSX GT3 as well. So
Going back to like what
it's only the GTP car, which is not related to anything that you can buy in motorsport and IndyCar and motorsports in the US.
I don't know how many other instructors we have in the group. I know Brian, you instruct, but I mean the fact that Toyota will give you a track day to go drive your car with a nationally recognized organization. I mean, that's really standing by your product and pushing the young, enthusiast market and creating that brand loyalty that Toyota might do like what Honda did in the 90s. I mean, you might see this next generation being like, yeah, I want a Toyota when I'm 20 years from now. Or
they're pushing an narrative that they want you to have fun with their cars.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it is cool that they do that. The only dicey experience I've ever had instructing, though, came from a Toyota track day with a kid that had a Supra set up for drag racing. And he had like a crazy tune on it. As an instructor, you usually ask, like, hey, so tell me about the car. Like, first thing that he said was like, oh, it's got like, 580 horsepower wheel, E85. And, I'm like, okay, cool. Tell me about the brakes. And he's like, what about them? I'm like, oh no.
Got a pop and bang tune.
Yeah, right. So, yeah, I think like Hyundai's doing it with Grid Life. They're doing it with the N series cars. Toyota's doing it. Honda's not doing it, but we still love our cars, right? So that just becomes a challenge.
Listen, I'll speak from someone who's got the FL5. I love my Type R. I think price point wise, yeah, like between the GR Corolla, the Hyundai, which I'd never drive, and some of these other cars, and some of these other cars, I think price point wise, it's a pretty big ask from Honda. But coming from someone who's got FA5 that I've spent more money than I care to have on the Type R. What I would say,
all about a new Type R by now of how much we've sunk into these pieces.
Well, no, what I would say is for complete factory brake suspension minus bolt-on and engine modifications, I've been extremely impressed with the vehicle, and I want to get it to the track. And if I wanted to be more irresponsible, I would have already made it a track car, because I feel like after driving my car, I could run that thing on stock suspension, and it would. I couldn't do what that car can do to my FA5. But again, like I said, price point wise, it's a big ask for Honda. You're talking about getting into the level of all-wheel drive, rear-wheel drive BMWs and Audis and other vehicles where it was a lot for what it is. But what I would say is the performance out of it, they knocked it out of the park. But that's, you go from an SI, which is a reasonably priced, under exciting car, to the Type R. So
I love how you had to look around to make sure your wife wasn't standing behind you. I noticed that.
So Kevin, you're the creative tinkerer of this motley crew. Okay, you're the one trying to problem solve some of the issues here. What do you want to see the aftermarket community do for our chassis?
I think really, although it would be nice to have those various vehicles, I've never had the problem of getting the rear end to stick. I've just been having problems getting more front end out of the car. And I know a lot of the other truck cars in Grid Life, like the BRZs and the BMWs, they found a lot of front end grip out of aftermarket roll center adjustments and whatnot, which, adjustable control arm stuff, which we don't have any options at all for those.
Yeah, we really don't. I think I'm running the K-Tune, just the spherical fronts, but obviously we can't adjust our roll center ash with your caster kit. It also adjusts roll center, but whatever.
It doesn't actually.
It doesn't?
No.
Because it doesn't change the ball joint geometry.
Yeah. It moved it forward and lower, I thought.
But the ball joint relative to the knuckle stays the same.
Okay.
Boom.
I thought it's the ball joint's placement to the pickup points, but whatever.
But the ball joint's placement of the pickup point stays the same. You just change the arm.
Yeah, but it uses the ball joint to move the whole thing forward. They're putting caster into the ball joint location. But anyway,
When I get on podium, we'll talk about it.
okay, yeah.
Stop trying to beat up the guy that's competing for last place.
Well,
all right, I need every advantage I can get.
I'll happily put it on my car, except for I don't want to have to buy new Honda bumpers for my car because it would just rip it off of mine. So,
Hey,
Pete,
the $70 ones on eBay fit great.
no,
That's what
not when I can still buy the Honda stuff.
They are only like $200 anyways.
Yeah, so, and I think they hold paint better. But anyway, Pete, you've been viciously taking notes again since we're re-recording this time. But what would you like to see the aftermarket put together for our cars?
Yeah, no, I'm actually sorry for your, technical difficulties last go round, but I got another like half page of notes here for stuff to investigate this off season. So I'm not unhappy about it. In terms of aftermarket stuff, I mean, I don't know, like all the normal stuff that I would think to put on the car and that I've taken notes on or figured out from you guys at other points in time that I should be looking at or looking around the paddock, right? I've done. I think the only thing that I personally had been looking around for when I was building the car was for the sedan. I couldn't find it when I gutted the top and the sunroof. I couldn't find that like fancy drop-in panel, the carbon panel they used to make to fill the sunroof hole. And so then I started looking around and trying to figure out, well, like, do they have a carbon roof I could just, swap and put on this thing? And I couldn't really find any solution for it. So, I had to just kind of rig the plexiglass that's larger than the hole and rivet that thing to the top. Now I know there's better, fancier ways to do that. I think Ash, you talked about that a little bit, the way you did it last time. But other than like a fancy sunroof carbon kind of plate, maybe like the other thing that we talked about kind of on the front end of this before I think we even jumped into recording was currently I've got broken or not all the way broken, but bent splitter brackets for the quick release splitter because there's not one that goes exactly for our car where it mounts where it should. So you're trying to like drill holes or figure out where you can put and retrofit a different one. So that's probably, maybe first on my list right now, or maybe where my rear sway bar bracket is now broken, maybe, a better version of that so that doesn't happen again.
Yeah. So I know Kevin and I are running the FK8 race bred splitters mounts, right, Kevin?
Yeah, that's what I got.
Yeah, and did you also make the rear tabs, the rear L brackets? Did you make new ones for?
Yeah, I got actually these like roll bar clamps meant for ATVs because the subframe is made of like 3.25-inch tubular steel. So you can just get like tubular clamps to go over that, and then just like a 90-degree aluminum piece that's acts as an L bracket.
Yeah, so what I did was the front two subframe bolts. I dropped those. I built a sacrificial aluminum L piece and then
that's what
bolt those up and then
the JZ Motorsports
I'll send you pics.
CSX, they did custom ones that go off like the subframe bolts like you did. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'll send you pics, Pete, because it's not that bad and it's a good time to buy because Black Friday and all. So it's their decent sale. It's the only time they really put stuff on sale. So
I'll add it to the parts list here.
Yeah. Don't tell your wife. It's fine. It isn't that cheap, but I've definitely bent it, I don't know, half a dozen times getting on and off my open trailer. I bent it at VIR going in the grass trying to get around Sam. when I jump the flag. I've bent it. Yeah, I bent it all the time. I'm always making sacrificial rear tabs. I think I have a collection of them now. So.
Yeah, no, I have ones ready to like remake in case I break because yeah, I use like the film angle to be like mechanical fuses.
Yeah, definitely. You need it because it's attached to basically the biggest, thickest, stiffest part of your chassis, which is our front subframes. And that's just going to wreck the front rails on the car if you don't have something to give. So, well, guys, is there anything else we need to talk about? I think we covered all the notes from last time. I know we skipped a little bit of stuff, but I didn't really want to go backwards. So,
No, man. Hey, Con, thanks for putting this together again for part 2. Long
well,
time
it's
listener.
going to be part 1, but yeah.
Yeah. Long time listener, first time caller, man.
Yeah.
I've heard you guys say my name so many times in previous episodes, so I'm glad that I get to be a part of it this time.
Yeah, I mean, I can only talk about what I know, right? And I've never shared a track with Kevin, so we're gonna have to figure that one out. But the rest of you, rowdy boys, like this is our region, at least for NASA, is thick with the McPherson strut Hondas. So I figured we'd talk about it. Actually, Ash made me do it, but he doesn't remember because he was too inebriated when he suggested it.
Hey, that's when the best ideas come out.
All right, boys. Thanks a lot. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Con.
Thanks, Con.
See you, boys.
Hey guys, have a great evening.
See y'all.
Yeah, bars.